welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today, and great to have you with me. Today we are looking at whether this person is lying to you. Now we'll break the reading down by having a look to see who this person is, what's their relationship with you. We'll look at the past, the present, and the future in terms of an outcome. Most importantly, we'll answer the question as to whether they're lying to you. Lots to get into, and before we get started, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, you can go down to the description box below. There's plenty of information on how to go about doing that. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video. Now, before you're on the screen, we've got two different symbols to choose from. The idea is to choose a symbol that comes through for you really strongly. Once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's fine to choose more than one symbol if it comes through for you. And remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Now, down below, there are two different timestamps representing each of these different symbols. Once you've made your choice, you'd like to go to the symbol that you've chosen, and I will see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number one. This is your reading. We're looking at whether this person is lying to you today. So let's jump in, have a look, and start up here with Death and the Four of Wands. It's a good place to start with the other person, looking into the past. I feel like this relationship has come up through some difficulties in terms of how it was seeded. I think this person was going through a very difficult time when they met you, and that it wasn't easy to kind of come to terms with where they were at in terms of their circumstances, their situation, with how they were feeling within themselves. I feel like they've come from a very turbulent, difficult arrangement, kind of fallen into your arms in many ways, and I feel that they've hit the ground running in doing that. I think they've come from a very difficult place, but at the same time I also feel that what they found with you very immediately is stability, security, a sense of growth and cohesion in terms of sharing a lot of really amazing experiences. I feel like these two cards kind of tell two sides of a story in many ways. I feel it's certainly about where this person has come from in terms of the challenges that they've actually had to face up until they met you, and then it's almost as though they found respite and healing in a way where they've seen you, found you, and I feel like they've kind of quickly sprang back into life in a way where they've certainly found themselves through you and the relationship that they've had. I don't feel like there's any anticipation of this relationship failing during this time. I feel it feels very grounded, very established in a way where things have been very positively aligned. I feel like the two of you have really complemented each other in terms of your experiences and what you've actually found in life with each other. I feel like you've egged each other on to do certain things as individuals, but also as a couple. I feel like you've actually achieved some really amazing things in this kind of first stage of setting things up. There's been a lot of growth and a lot of success together is what I feel. A lot of safety, a lot of security has been found for the two of you in terms of finding each other. And I feel like it's been very positive in terms of like a really strong foundation, strong basis to have a relationship where it just feels very co-aligned. I feel like it was the right time, the right place, the right circumstances for you both to meet, and that, yeah, it feels like it was meant to be. If I come down here to the Emperor and the King of Cups, you know, again, looking into the past and looking at you, I feel like you're really in love with this person. I don't feel like there's any question about it. There's no second guessing. I think you have a deeply connected sense of yourself and of this person. I feel like you're in love without question. You know, like I feel like you've seen this person and you've said, this is the one. You know, it's not a rational point of view. It's actually heartfelt in a way where I just feel like you have an enormous amount of feeling for this person in a way that articulates love unquestioningly. And I feel that you've trusted this person implicitly from day one. And you've never had a question you never had a thought to question them, you know? I feel doubt has never been a part of the dialogue in terms of, you know, what your experience is with this person. And I think you've been really strongly protective of the relationship here with the Emperor. I mean, like, I don't think for one moment you've ever thought of anything else other than to look over them and to be very protective of them in a very guarded way. You know, I think that you think so much of them and so much of what you actually have together. I think that integrity, protection, and boundaries are really important to you in a way where you guard the relationship, you guard this person, you guard what you actually have together. I think, yeah, very protective, but also very hardline in terms of boundaries. You know, there are certain things that you just won't compromise on in terms of honesty and truth. I get a very natural person, a very heartfelt individual who gives an enormous amount of themselves. I think that you connect with people in a way where you really look to give of yourself, look to exchange in a way that just feels genuine and real. There's nothing superficial or unrealistic in terms of what you're expecting out of people. I think you take them for who it is that they are. I think you give an enormous amount of support to people, generally speaking. You know, I get a very sort of healing, compassionate individual with very strong, nurturing boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of feel like you've seen this person and you've seen that they've been going through a really difficult time, but you've also seen them for who it is that they are, and you've understood that this is a good person, and, you know, you want to be there for them in a way where I think you've been very realistic about what it means to start a relationship with them. I don't think that you've had any delusional sort of unrealistic expectations as to where this could go. And I think you've really trusted your feelings and you've trusted this person. I do think here, though, with the Emperor, I think that you are the type of person who doesn't mess about. You know, I think the boundaries are quite strong and guarded, but also I feel like you're definitely there for this person. You're there for the relationship, but you're also there for yourself in a way that prioritizes what you need to do to keep yourself going. And I think although the bottom line is that this is unconditional love in the truest sense of the word, I think you would never let anybody mess you about. You know, otherwise, you'd come down on them like a sack of potatoes. So I think you've got realistic boundaries, but you've also got an enormous amount to give as a person. Here and now, the High Priestess and the Three of Swords. I do feel here in the current position that this person is going through a very difficult time in terms of identifying certain feelings. Here with the High Priestess, I think they're very uncertain about the future and what that holds in terms of the relationship. I don't feel like they're happy here with the Three of Swords. They're definitely carrying a very heavy heart. I feel like when they're looking at the future, they feel very uncertain about what they have with you. I feel like they've been carrying some baggage around the relationship and about whether this is what they really want. And I feel like they've actually been going through that in the past, in the present, and they're also projecting that into the future in a way that leaves them to harbor a lot of uncertainty. I feel like you're very articulate of your love to this person in a way where you're constantly or realistically expressing that. You know, saying I love you, checking in on them in a way that just sees how they're going in their day. Planning things in a way that just keeps the relationship bolstered and moving along in a way where you're constantly exchanging and sharing things. But I do feel that this person is holding back. They're not expressive in the same way. I feel like they're a bit elusive here in a way where they're hard to pin down about certain things. I think when it comes to soliciting their feelings to understand how they feel about you, about what it is they actually want at this current time, maybe what it is that they want for the future. I think that actually brings up some uncertainty for you, certainly some uncertainty for them in a way that I don't think that they're articulating this to you. Yeah, they're keeping it to themselves. I think that's possibly why you're actually looking to find out whether they're lying. Yeah, they're telling you, I think, on a surface level that they do love you. I think they're hiding something that says also, I don't know how I really feel about that. I feel like this person is very avoidant of discussions when it comes to talking about the future. So planning for the future, talking in the context of being together in the future, talking about doing things maybe even tomorrow. I just feel like this person gets uncomfortable, feels uncertain. That it's like conversations around continuity, around certainty for the future in terms of your relationship, trigger them. And I kind of feel like there's a lot of covering up as to how it is that they really feel. And I feel like a part of that is maybe avoiding conversations that lead directly into what that all means. I feel like this person can often close down discussions about what they're up to, about what they want. I feel like if you press them for honest answers about what's going on, that they can be very... I think they can be very hurtful. I think they can be hurtful by not telling you what it is that they really want, not telling you what it is they really feel. But I think they can also say things that maybe trip them up in a way that leave you to feel that they're not on the same page as you. At times, they can be very aloof. I think they can also be quite disconnected from you in a way that maybe intimacy is becoming a bit of a difficult issue here. I don't feel this person is feeling so comfortable to be close physically. I feel maybe for some of you that this person is finding it very difficult to share time with you in a way where they're fully present. I just don't feel that this person is 100% in the room when they're there, not 100% in the present when they're actually having a conversation with you. I feel like this person's very preoccupied, thinking about other things. Yeah, I feel that this is a very difficult situation for you to deal with, but also a very difficult situation for this other person to deal with, because they're bringing in a dark cloud and a lot of uncertainty into the relationship in a way that casts a shadow. It makes things feel a little bit gloomy. And also, I think probably the bottom line for me here with these two cards is that when you're doing anything with this person, their heart just doesn't seem to be in it, right? But they're not telling you what's going on. The question here is this person lying to you? I don't feel that this person is necessarily lying to you right now. I feel like this person is hiding things because they're not sure about how it is that they feel. I feel like you really love this person in an undying way. There's no need for conversations to convince yourself of that. Your feelings speak for themselves. But I don't feel that this person feels the same way. And I don't know that this person knows how to face that in a way that confronts you and confronts the subject in an honest way. So they're hiding things at this point in time. But I do feel that this is actually heading into territory where this person will lie to you. Now, if you just hold for a moment, I'm going to come down here to the Hermit and the Four of Pentacles. I feel in the future here, your sense of what's going on about this other person in a way that triggers your uncertainty leaves you to kind of go into overdrive. I feel like you're beginning here in the future to put in a lot of work into the relationship in a way that becomes practical, to ground things, to cover all of your bases, to cover all of the bases of the relationship in a way that anchors what's going on in terms of uncertainty. It's almost like you're hitting stormy times. You recognize that things are not going according to plan, that the flow is not happening, that this person perhaps isn't feeling the same way that you are. And I feel that you're going into a protective mode of the relationship where you begin to batten down the hatches. And I feel like you're letting this person have the time that they need. You're also letting yourself have the time that you need to be able to consolidate and figure out what's going on. But I think that you're trying to make things really positive and robust in terms of protecting this person, protecting the sanctity of the relationship, keeping everything going in a way that is business as usual, that you're not going to let this person go, but you're going to give them the time that they need to be able to figure themselves out. I feel also this is a big part of your process here in the future. I would have said over a number of months that you're really kind of beginning to kind of really go inside yourself in a way that figures out what's been happening in the past, maybe retracing your steps with this person in a way where you beginning to pick over where things may have faltered. Why is this person being so uncertain? Why aren't they actually telling me how it is that they really feel? I kind of feel almost as though that's a very meticulous process of really trying to understand where you stand with this person, but also maybe what it is that's going on, realistically speaking, in a practical way to understand where they're at. It feels kind of a multi-tiered experience here in a way where I feel almost as though you're also looking at a worst case scenario. What do I need to do here in terms of protecting my own interests if this person isn't into me and doesn't want to be with me in the way that I do? Materially, practically, what are the considerations that I need to actually come to terms with in terms of the idea of us maybe splitting up, and if I have to be on my own? I need to protect my own interest here. I think that the bottom line on these two cards, though, is one where you feel that you don't want to let go, almost like a refusal to let go of the idea of the relationship. And I feel like it kind of comes full circle based on the type of person that you are. You know how you feel about this person. You see this person for who it is that they are. You get that they're going through an enormous amount of uncertainty and that they're not convinced about the relationship by about this point. But your love for them will give them time for consideration compassionately. You're not going to take something away from this person that they deserve, but also which could jeopardize the relationship. I don't feel that you're going to say anything to trigger them to think negatively. And I feel that the idea of being the backbone of the relationship, of providing support and keeping everything going and not giving up on them is a part of your process in terms of trying to anchor things for a good outcome. Here with the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Wands, I feel like the outcome here is one that is very shaky in terms of this person and their own process. I think that they'll try to keep things going, into the next phase of the relationship here with the Wheel of Fortune. The world keeps on turning, the wheel keeps on spinning, and I feel even though this person here with the Eight of Wands feels very up in the air, they're kind of flapping in the wind of a lot of uncertainty, but they're just trying to go with the flow. I think the reality is that this person is avoiding having this conversation with you in a way that actually fully confronts the truth of how it is that they really feel. They're avoiding this, and it becomes quite risky in terms of their behavior because they're throwing the dice on the relationship in a way that essentially takes us into unknown territory. I feel that this person will try to tell you what it is that you want to hear. Here with the Eight of Wands, definitely a card of communication. I think, but at the same time, here with the Wheel of Fortune, I think things become very difficult for this person to deal with and to keep on top of. I feel like they begin to spiral in a way where they lose grip of that narrative. I don't feel that they remain convincing of how it is that they're actually telling you how they really feel. In many ways, I feel this is where they begin to lie. They're telling you things that aren't actually true. They're saying they want to be in this relationship. They want to keep things going. They're going with the flow. But underneath this person already knows. Here with the Three of Swords and the High Priestess, this person knows how it is that they really feel. Deep down, their process at this point in time is that they've actually been carrying this feeling that their heart just isn't into this relationship in a way that they recognize that yours is. And this has been going on for some time. And here in the present, they're definitely at terms with that in a way where they recognize that this could go on into the future. I think that they're just trying to buy time to figure things out. But I feel here in the future, this person begins to trip themselves up as they begin to unravel how it is that they really feel. I think that they'll say things or do things behaviorally that show you very obvious signs that this person is absolutely not into this relationship in a way that you want them to be. In the end, I feel like this person's going to fall off the edge. They can't keep this going. Things begin to spin out of control. They lose grip of the narrative. They lose grip of their ability to be able to sustain dependable behavior that actually shows you convincingly that this is really what it is that they want. I think this will be very fast moving, and I think at times that this could actually be quite reckless in a way where at times this person might be a little bit unpredictable. But I just don't feel that this person is saying here in the future in a way that the relationship is a priority. You know, it's not what it is that they really want. They're just going with the flow. They're taking it moment to moment. They're seeing how things. And when I look at who you are as a person here with the Emperor, the Four of Pentacles, the Hermit, the King of Cups, you're solidly into this relationship in a way where you're putting down roots. You're planning for the future. You've established your footings in a way where you are wholly convinced of how it is that you feel about this person. This person is not reflecting that back to you in a way that actually convinces you. And I feel that here in the future, their lies will actually get the better of them in a way where they'll trip themselves up and things become very obvious. For my Patreon followers, if you'd like to hold for a moment, I'll be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number 2. This is your reading. We're looking at whether this person is lying to you. Let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on up here with the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Wands. Good place to start with the other person. I feel like this person is very good at spinning stories, telling tales. They know how to capture an audience, a group of friends, or one-to-one in a way where they're thoroughly convincing of whatever it is that they say to you. I feel like this person has a voice or an ability to be able to soothe you, to entertain you, to tell you things that can at times feel like they're actually a bit wild and crazy or not. I do feel that this person just knows how to hold a space where their spoken word is something that is listened to by other people. I feel like maybe this person speaks with authority on a range of topics or areas of life that it seems to be really sometimes broad, but also quite unusual. I feel like this is somebody who can talk about lots of different things to lots of different people. I do feel that this is a very articulate and entertaining person who has a really sort of strong vocabulary. Maybe at times that can be a little intimidating. Maybe it feels or sounds as though they know more than other people. I just think that this person has a lot of different angles, a lot of different points of view, a lot of different understandings on topics that just kind of keep everything rolling. I think this person would be amazing at a party or in a social context of just, really being the person that can kind of knits everybody together as far as like a social, a social kind of, I guess, anchor, really. I think there are times, though, in your relationship with this person where you're listening to what they're saying and that you feel that the information is not convincing or that somehow it doesn't add up. Maybe certain facts don't line up, or there are certain holes in the story that just don't seem to hold their weight, or that things are inconsistent or conflicting from maybe something that they've said at another time. I think you've come to a point in this relationship where you feel that maybe this person is actually making things up a lot of the time. And I don't feel that that's just you either. I feel maybe there are other people who see this person as being somebody who does that. Maybe you're hearing rumors also. This is a really strong card for communication here with the Eight of Wands. I feel like a lot of information is flying around about this person, not only about what they're saying, but maybe information about them from other people in the context of understanding as to whether they're lying or not. I feel also this person can really overload you with information. Sometimes they can just say too much, and it can get a little confusing, or maybe just it feels a little bit elaborate. I feel as though this idea of lying feels very multi-layered. It's not just one single thing. It feels like there's a lot of different things that layer one on top of the other in a way where they just don't stack up, and that this person is very good at actually holding it all together in many ways. I feel that like these layers are very managed. I don't know that there is actual evidence here to actually sort of say that this person is lying from a more sort of technical point of view. I don't feel that anybody has caught this person out. I don't feel like you've caught this person out. There is a feeling, there is a sense that things don't necessarily add up. There is a kind of a behavioral observation about this person that says that they could be a little bit questionable, but I don't feel like anything's landed in a way that really frames this person as being a straight out liar. But there is this strong sense of them lying, of things being elaborate, that they are being deceitful. And I feel that I do feel that this person is lying. I do feel that this person is lying. I feel there's a lot of risk here with the Wheel of Fortune and what is it they're saying. I feel that sometimes they're just saying things for the sake of saying it. I don't feel like it's one specific area. I feel like it's a lot of different things. I feel like this person does make up stories, does make up stuff to just to kind of get it over the line, really. I don't feel that you trust what this person is saying, though. I think that's the big thing for me. Is there's a lack of trust in what is it they're saying. I think that you see everything that they are saying these days as something that carries a lot of risk, and that you've really lost your bearings in the connection with this person in a way where you don't know what to believe from one moment to the next. And I don't feel that you're the only person that thinks or feels that. This could be a lover, it could be a friend, it could be a colleague, it could be a family member. If I go into the past, I think there's a lot more context into how that kind of weights the current situation. And I feel here with the Hermit and the Knight of Swords that this person has a history of being very confrontational when they're cornered and scrutinized in a way that presses them for answers. I don't feel that this person likes to be lent on in a way that tries to get very direct answers if they're not in the mood to give that to you. If that doesn't suit them, I think they can get really defensive, and at times it can trigger them into being a little bit abusive. I think if you press really hard, this person can vent off in a way that feels a little unhinged, and that their behavior can become quite threatening. I feel that expresses itself with a lot of anger, a lot of aggression. I think that they can say things that go very deep and which become very personal and which make you feel that this is being very abusive. I feel like you've seen this, and I think maybe for some of you, you've actually experienced it. And I think when this person goes there, they go really hard. And I think that this is something that leaves you to never forget what it is that you've seen or what it is you've experienced with them. I feel like this person can go on a real rampage, that their energy, their language, their attitude becomes really aggressive, and that they can get very hurtful and cutting. I think that they can say things that maybe they're sorry about afterwards, but they say things that will never be forgotten. I think when it comes to pressing this person about the truth or certain facts or certain answers, that it requires a little bit of courage. I think this person has a very inbuilt mechanism to actually cover up a deep layer that they want to kind of protect. They don't like to be called out. They don't like to be put under the spotlight in a way that shows them up. I think when you press into them for certain things, that they become explosive, and in their mind, they feel like they're being self-protective, that their right to privacy is a real issue here. And I feel that they essentially just don't like to be questioned, is what I'm seeing here. I think this person loses like rational behavior, and they kind of just fly off the handle, and it can be really unpredictable, and it can come from a very deep place that feels really spooky, right? By contrast, if I come down here to the Fool and the Six of Pentacles, I feel like you're a really easygoing person. I feel like, you look on and see this behavior in a way where you give this person a lot of time and space to be able to have their own process. I think you've learnt not to go there with this person, that it's just easier not to take it on and to let them just be who it is that they are. I think you cut this person a lot of slack here with the Six of Pentacles. I think that you're very easygoing with them in a way where you give a lot to them. I think you're very kind to this person. I think you are generally like that. I think by nature, though, I think your personality is one that is expressive of somebody who just wants to go with the flow, that doesn't necessarily want to take it all on, who likes a genuine exchange and a sort of connection with another person, but you keep it nice. You keep it light. You keep it easygoing. I think you like to have a bit of a laugh. I think you like to keep it fun here with the Fool. I think you really want it to be easygoing and not heavy. That, friendships, relationships, connections with other people are something that you need to be very respectful of, and that you should give other people the space and the time that they need to be who it is that they are. I think that you have learnt how to ignore this behavior this other person expresses when they get really pressed, and I feel from that point of view that you shrug this off. You shrug it off as being really foolish behavior. And you let it all go in the hope that, if there's something that they need to tell you, if there's something that is really there at the core, that they'll do that in their own time, and that it's just easier not to create a drama of confrontation. So I feel like you back off from this person, you give them the space that they need, you keep it really respectful. And I think by contrast, you're really trying to sort of lighten the mood of what it is that they can actually become like. I think also that your generosity comes through very strongly with these two cards in a way where I just kind of feel like you're cutting this person an enormous amount of slack. I'm not saying that you excuse it. I think you are trying to give them the time and the space that they need, but at the same time, you're just not wanting to take on the baggage of where this will go if you actually press into them really heavily. Where is this going? I mean, here in the past, you've got somebody who actually has a very defensive layer, who doesn't want to go to the core of their experience, who doesn't want to let you in to be able to have an honest and truthful conversation. Here with the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Wands, this person is expressing an enormous amount of articulate experiences and stories and things that have become very unpredictable in terms of whether you can really trust what they're actually saying from one moment to the next. And here in the outcome, with the Hangman and the Two of Pentacles, I really feel like this person is failing to kind of let you in or let anybody else in a way that is fully reciprocal. This person here with the Hangman just constantly has this guardrail on the relationship in a way that kind of keeps you at arm's length and kind of holds you at a distance in a way where you can't perpetuate this really important connection. I feel like the two of you have an enormous amount in common here with the Two of Pentacles in a way where there is this quite innate closeness. I think that you share a lot of different experiences. There is also a very common language, a common understanding of how things work in the world. But at the same time, I just don't feel like this person is letting you into their inner sanctum. They're constantly keeping this guardrail on, and I feel like they're doing that with their language. They're continuing to lie in a way that stops you from really getting to know this person, to experience this person in a way that is honest. I think there are certain things that this person is just failing to explain to you here in the future in a way that sounds honest, that stops you from getting closer together. I feel here that I feel like maybe also here the proof of this person lying is something that continues to elude you. It continues to elude other people. It's as though they've constantly got this in check in a way where there is a control over the relationship as a consequence of that. But for me, the bottom line is here with these two cards. It stops this connection from deepening in a way where it feels honest. I just feel like this person is refusing to take off these defensive mechanisms to let you in and to surrender into the relationship in a way where this connects at a deeper level, but also which is respectful of you and honest of you to just tell you how it really is, right? If I come down here to Death and the Four of Pentacles, I think the outcome for yourself is one where you feel like you have to save yourself in this relationship, whatever form that actually is. The best thing to do is to actually get out in a way that ends it and actually keeps the honesty and the integrity at a central point for yourself. I don't feel that that's an easy thing. I don't think that this person wants to let you go here with the Hangman and the Two of Pentacles. I think this person really wants to hang on to this relationship. I think that this is a very important relationship to them, that they won't let you go. And down here with Death and the Four of Pentacles, I feel like that's expressive of the experience that you're going to feel as you want to move on and end this and stand on your own 2 feet. I think that this person will make it very difficult for you to get away from them. I don't feel like it's an easy process, but I feel like it's one that's very important to you, where you've actually come to a point of conclusion and saying that I just don't want to play this game anymore. And I think it takes a lot of strength to break that off, but it's almost as though, I have to say, for many of you, I feel like this is actually quite a traumatizing experience. It's one that really shakes you up. This person won't let you go, but they won't face the truth within themselves about what's going on in terms of the lack of integrity to kind of not lie to you. And I feel like it'll take some years to pass before you kind of feel like you get to a point where you really see the truth of what it is that you're actually seeing here in terms of them lying. I think at the moment, I just really feel that it's very difficult to pin this person down about their behavior. I don't feel like you can call them out as a liar, but I do feel that they are lying in a very elaborate and complex way. And I think deep down this person is enormously insecure, and that their defense mechanisms are so robust that they've actually figured out a way to control people to stop them from finding out that they're lying. I feel in many ways that by this point you're kind of sort of standing up to them for the first time ever, because what you're demanding here is self-respect for yourself, but you're also demanding respect for the relationship that you have with them. And that because this person is not going to give that to you, that you decide to take matters into your own hand in a way where you take control. Yeah, because at the moment, I just feel everything's spinning on a dime with this person. The Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Wands, everything's basically riding on what this person tells you. You know, they have control of the narrative. They have control of the conversation. They have control of the lies. But they also have control of the truth. And they're not going to tell you that. Anyway, for my Patreon followers, if you'd like to hold for a moment, I will be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you're going to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.